Everyone, welcome back to a new post today. And we all know that elections are fought on many factors, on the basis of many factors. And if you look at this 2024 elections, which is a run up to the 18th Lok Sabha, we have mainly issues like the caste census, employment, and also corruption. So the manner in which the incumbent government is dealing is prophesizing that it's dealing with corruption by arresting the opposition people is the highlight of this elections. And this is one of the biggest ground that the incumbent government is also banking on, saying that it is fighting corruption and dynastic politics. So it is in this relation itself, there is a pre-poll survey that has been conducted by an organization called as CSDS Lokniti pre-poll survey, and it brought out some important data with regard to development and corruption. So the incumbent government banking on corruption, how far do the people think that the incumbent government is really clean, and how far where the existing the NDA government of the BJP successful in proving that it actually dealt with corruption. Let us have a quick insights about these. Now this is very important because elections is a part of the formation of the government, and we are a democracy, so elections play a very important role. Your answer writing might ask you to analyze, on the basis of what factors influence the elections, and also analyze the outcome of the recent election based on these important factors. So this survey is really helpful from your mains and your essay writing point of view as well. So as I told you that elections are fought on the basis of various factors. Development is one of the most important if you take even the parliament or the state legislative assembly elections. So while issues apart from development, we have various issues that have been plaguing the economy, and the opposition banks on this. So some of the issues that plague the economy are like corruption, and the voter sentiment influences their voting behavior based on the performance of the past government and what are the promises given in the manifesto. So now this election has a major factor, as I told you, has caste census and employment. Now in the run up to the elections, political parties have already making allegations of corruption against their rivals in order to reach out to the voters and also influence the voting pattern, where opposition have left no stone unturned to corner the party or the alliance in power, while highlighting various acts of corruption already and allegedly done by under their rule. And the later, that is the NDA government, send out a strong signal that it is curbing on corruption by using the agencies against and taking a series of actions, including arresting of the rival camp leaders. So what do the people or the voters actually think of corruption? This is a survey which is based on a population size of around 10,000 people, and it is perceived that the level of corruption has increased instead in the past 5 years. So how widespread is the perception of the corruption across the spatial context? Now let me tell you that along with rural, urban, state and central, in all levels they think that the corruption has actually increased in the past 5 years, and all the people from the rich to the middle class, except for the poor, the middle class except for the rich, think that the corruption has actually decreased. Now as per the pre-poll survey, more than half of the respondents were of the view that corruption has actually increased in the past 5 years. Interestingly, compared with the same survey that was done in 2019, this number has actually gone up by 15 percentage points, and actually there is a significant increase. So more people think that the corruption has increased in the last 5 years. In contrast, the proportion of the respondents saying that the corruption has decreased has shown a decline, and it appears to have reduced to half, that is from 37 to 19% in 2024. Now though divided by economic circumstances, respondents across all the locations seem to be of the same perception on the stage of corruption. Among both the rich and poor, among the middle class and the poor, most of the respondents feel that corruption has actually increased in the past 5 years, and it is only the rich that say that it has declined. So among the rich respondents, a fraction of those saying that the corruption has declined is actually higher than the poor respondents, and this is what the survey says. Also, who they think is responsible for increase in the corruption? Now majority of them say that both the center and the state government are responsible for the corruption. And if you when we differentiate between the union and the state government, more respondents say that it is the union government is actually that is responsible for the increase in corruption. So in sum, the perception of the corruption in the past 5 years has been fairly high among the voters, and definitely this is going to influence the voter behavior no matter where and what in economic conditions they live in. But the wide perception is that corruption has actually increased in the past 5 years, and at the same time it is also true that rarely does a single issue disproportionately influence the political preference or the electoral outcomes. It thus remains to see what exactly shapes to what extent the issue of corruption will shape the voting behavior. So as I told you that it's rarely that only one factor that weighs in influencing the voter behavior. The next most important issue that the survey was conducted was development for whom. So in the past 5 years or the past 10 years with the same government, development has actually reached whom of the people. Now, given the centrality of the issue, the question is whether the incumbent government managed to satisfy the voters' expectations with regard to development. Now, development has been consistently figured as a major consideration for Indians in determining whom they vote for in the not only the Lok Sabha elections but also the state legislature and also panchayat elections as well. In 2014, let me tell you, 2 in 10 voters held the lack of development in the country to be the most important factor influencing the choice of whom they would support. Now, in a bid to dislodge the Congress-led UPA government, the BJP tried its level best during the elections in 2014 to remove the frustration of the people on the development and also held its plank on the central issue of development. In that election, let me tell you, it saw the BJP government returning to power after a decade with almost 30% of the voters feeling that the Narendra Modi government would be better for country's development. And in 2019 election, where the BJP NDA-led government won a second term, development was once again emerging as a key issue among 14% of the voters. So given the centrality of the issue, the question is whether the incumbent government has managed to satisfy the voters' expectations across all the spectrums of development. As a BJP-led India government completes its 2 terms in office and is banking and eyeing for a 3rd term, this is the most important issue that will be touched upon. So with the slogan of Sabka Saath and Sabka Vikas, together with all, benefit development for all and trust of all, the question remains, who do the voters really believe that the development has reached everyone? Now, close to 2 in 10 of the voters are in the view that in the last 5 years, no development has taken place at all, and this sentiment has persisted to a similar level of voters since 2004. So the pre-poll survey has found that 32% of the voters think that in the last 5 years development has only taken place for the rich, and that too among the creamy layer of the society. This has been one of the major issues that the opposition has tried to counter the government's record of development. It is also interesting to recall that when the BJP was in power in Atal Bihari Vajpayee's term, even a large percentage of voters expressed the sentiment that development initiatives primarily were for the wealthy. Back then, 43% of the voters felt that way. So if you look at the pre-poll survey now in 2024, 32% of the voters feel that the development is only for the rich. 15% of the people think that development has not been available for any of them. 48% of the people think that development has been available for all, and there has been development with the incumbent government. So these are the 2 most important issues that, one of the 2 factors that will influence the voter sentiments, and such pre-poll surveys definitely help us to have a good analysis of how the people actually think of the incumbent government and what may be the voter sentiment in the upcoming election. It is also helpful for the political parties while electioneering and also preparing the manifestos. They will also know the pulse of the nation with regard to elections. So I hope these few points and insights were really helpful to you all. If you did, please do like, share and subscribe, and don't forget to comment at the end of the video. I shall see you in the next post tomorrow. Until then, it's very happy learning.